everyone, it's Liz with Galileo. I have a special guest today, Karen King with Worldschooling Central, and I want to introduce you to her, and we'd love to hear from Karen about her story of how she became a world schooler and then how her kids eventually joined Galileo. So welcome, Karen.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. And you are currently in Panama, correct?
We are, yes. We have set up a base here, and we kind of use this as our base and travel out from here. It's a lot closer to the rest of the world than Australia.
Yeah. So tell me about you left Australia when? 5 years ago?
2016, yeah, early 2016. So we've been on the road essentially for 4.5 years now, which has just flown by, and it's been the most amazing experience.
Great. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your life in Australia. What was it like before you started world schooling?
I would say we had a pretty typical Australian life, you know, the Australian dream, I guess, which is probably much the same as the American dream. All the stuff that they say, you know, do this and you'll be happy. We had the beautiful house that we built. The kids were in school. We had 2 cars. My husband had an awesome job. I had my own business. So, you know, we ticked all the boxes. We should have been happy, but we realized one day that we just weren't. And so that was the start of a life-changing decision at that point.
So what made you decide that? What was the impetus?
Well, we got to that point where actually it was my daughter. She came home from kindergarten at one stage and brought home a beautiful picture she'd done for Mother's Day. And on the picture, the teachers had helped her write, "My mum's favorite thing to do on the weekend is sleep." And, you know, at the time, it just broke my heart because I'd been working so hard growing the business, you know, sort of working hard now and later it'll all be awesome. But the problem was I was missing out on, you know, now, so to speak.
Right.
And I was working 6 days a week.
Doing what kind of business?
I had a cake decorating business. So, all self-taught, you know, Google and YouTube were my teachers. And I just kind of fell into it. We ended up with sort of 50,000 followers and a commercial space and all of this sort of stuff.
But it was too much?
I loved the work, but I was working 6 days a week, long days. And on Sundays, I'd just stay in bed all day because I was so tired. And, you know, I'd binge watch Netflix trying to recover from the week that was and prepare for the week that was coming. And when I saw this picture, it was a wake-up call. So we actually took a vacation. We booked a 7-week vacation. We said, you know what, let's put everything on pause and let's go and just have family time. And it was during that I learned about location independence, living and working essentially anywhere in the world from your laptop. And from that, I discovered world schooling. And I mean, it wasn't something we were specifically looking for, but when we realized, you know, it was a thing, we then spent 2015 selling everything that we owned and left Australia in 2016.
And so you and your husband were able to work online or reinvent your career or business to work online, correct?
Yeah, so we did a few different things. Like my husband was a chef on the oil rig, so that certainly wasn't something that could become remote. I've always been the type, well, I mean, with my cake decorating business, I decided I wanted to do it, so I just made it happen. So for me, you know, I'm the type of person that I just make a decision and I jump in and I figure it out later. So for me, it was, well, you know, let's get started. We lived off savings for a while. And actually for the first 9 months, my husband was commuting from Malaysia to Australia every second week. So we just did what we needed to do.
Right.
And over time, it's just kind of morphed into various different things, but essentially just doing whatever we can to keep generating income so we can keep traveling.
Right. Okay. Great. Okay. And so since then you have created a Worldschooling Central Facebook page and a website, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So we started Worldschooling Central because when we first started Worldschooling, there's lots of information out there, but I couldn't find it easily. And so we wanted to create a website where, you know, it's kind of a hub of information. And around that then grew a community. So essentially it's been designed to be a hub of information for people that are interested in finding out more about world schooling, and then, you know, to support people through their journey as they you know, get out there.
Okay, fantastic. So tell me a little bit about your kids. How old are they now?
So Brody is 15, nearly 16, and Sienna is 9, nearly 10.
Okay, so during the 4.5 years you were traveling and world schooling, how were they being educated? How were they learning?
When we first started, my idea, having done 18 years of school myself, my idea was I would find a curriculum and we would educate at home, so to speak. That went out the window very quickly because it was just, we would argue all the time, and it was just so hard. It wasn't fun, and it was really having a negative impact on our experience. We'd have to go through these periods of fighting every day just to get anything done. Having said that, though, when we first started, we actually said, for the first 6 months, we're going to de-school. So essentially 1 month per year that Brody had been at school, we're just not going to do anything, just to unwind and get out of that sort of
That's
system.
many months.
Yeah, and it was really hard for me as someone in the school system. I was like, oh, are they learning? Are they learning? Like the problems came from my need, what was in my head of what schooling should be. And I struggled to trust that kids learn through experience. Kids are natural born learners. But what I had seen was that the school system had completely killed Brody's joy of learning, love of learning. And any hint that he was learning something, you could see it. He would just switch off. So we said, let's do 6 months. No school, it's okay. And of course he was learning, but he didn't realize. And that was sort of, then we got to that 6-month mark, and I tried to put in, education and curriculum, and we realized really quickly that the first 6 months had actually been ideal. So we went more of an unschooling approach for the most part through the last few years.
So where were you traveling during this process? Were you staying in one part of the world or hopping around?
We've been to 32 countries. So we were jumping all over the world. We were house sitting. So we would just go wherever we could get a house sit. So we started off in Southeast Asia, and then we ended up in Europe and Mexico. And all over the place.
Okay, so every place that you would be, your kids would learn about the local culture and food and, other things, history, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. So as an example, we booked a really cheap flight to Berlin, and had never really considered going there, but we were having trouble picking where we were going next. And I said, you know what, let's just get on Skyscanner and find the cheapest flight. So we ended up in Berlin. And so as part of that, we watched a whole bunch of documentaries in the lead up to getting there. And lo and behold, it had a big impact on me. And it was at that point that I realized world schooling is just as important and just as advantageous for adults as well. Because at school, I'd really hated history. It was so dry and so boring. It went in one ear and out the other. I did history as part of my university degree, but I just did it because I had to do it.
Yeah.
When we got to Berlin, though, learning, we watched all these documentaries, and it started coming to life. So when we got to Berlin, the impact it had was incredible. And, Sienna, the way I hear Sienna now talking about all of that stuff, she remembers it because she was there. She, touched the Berlin Wall. She, we actually went to a concentration camp. We sort of, muted a little bit of it so that Sienna was not exposed quite as much. But all of that being there, there's no comparison. You can't feel that from, reading the book.
Because you're making it personal.
Yeah, exactly.
So, fantastic. Okay, so you were doing the unschooling and world schooling, and just basically the world was your classroom, and you would it was true for you, right?
Yeah,
and but then eventually later on, were your kids developing interest in certain topics?
Yeah, absolutely. They would just follow their interests, and it's funny because there's times where they've come out with things that I think, where did that come from? And of course the running joke in this house is, Mum, it came from YouTube. So they would just follow their interests. And one day Brody came to me and said, oh, I'm learning Japanese. And I thought, what? I didn't know you were interested. He said, yeah, I just felt like doing it. So I just decided to start learning it. And apparently he'd been doing it for ages, and we hadn't, it wasn't a big deal to him anymore. It was just life. So
That's awesome.
yeah, they developed their interests and they just follow along with what they're interested in.
Cool. Okay. And so then eventually, well, a couple months ago, you heard about Galileo, the self-directed online school. So what did you do when you heard of it? Did you go to the website and check it out? You eventually met with us, but what were your first opinions or first little inklings about what the school was?
Well, I'd seen it a few times because you posted it in Worldschooling Central, and I wasn't really looking for anything so much as I just thought, I'll check it out and see what it was. I loved the idea of the self-directed learning, but I would say that one of the things that we've sort of struggled with is when we do slow down a little bit. Kem and I still have to work. This isn't a full-time vacation, and you always have that battle between needing to work but also being there for the kids. And so like I said, I wasn't really looking for anything, but when I went to the website one day and had a look, I was blown away. It was exactly what I didn't know that I needed. And I couldn't be more impressed, honestly.
Okay, so then your kids enrolled, and you told me that Brody was a little resistant at first, right?
Yes. So that fear of learning, I guess, or that fear of school raised its ugly head. And when I said to him, I'm going to enroll you in this school, he just shut off. He was not doing it, not interested. And, I really had to, at one point, and I really tried to let my children, follow their interests and their passions. But on this occasion, I did have to say, you know what, I need you to give it a go, because I didn't think he was really understanding exactly what it was. And in the sign-up process, the teacher said to him, Brody, it's not really school as such. It's the best word we've got for it. But, we're not going to force anything on you. And he was still very hesitant, but he did it because he was told to. And what I saw in him was incredible. I was thrilled at what I saw. Just even in those first couple of days, the difference in him was phenomenal. A kid that, he just didn't say, like, he was doing lots. He was on his computer all day, every day, and he was doing lots. And I had no doubt that he was learning plenty. But I really felt like I just wanted to open him up to other experiences. And especially when we're in periods, like if we come back to Panama for a month and we're just, staying here and getting some work done and all of that. I felt like I wanted to give him more than just sitting on his computer every day.
So what do you think the difference was? What do you think was getting him excited about learning on the Galileo platform versus doing it himself?
I think the fact that it is still self-directed, but with support from his teacher. So I think he loves checking in each day. But I also think that when he realized that nobody was going to say, okay, today you have to go and do history for an hour or whatever the case may be, he got to choose his schedule, and the teachers guided him in terms of sites that he could use or resources that he could use. And so he set his own schedule and just got about doing it. And it was fascinating to watch him just, launch into this. And, he and Sienna working on a project for Sienna that she needs to do. And then one of his projects is a game that he was working on. So I think the fact that he was able to choose and do the things that he loves, I think that was a big thing for him. So I think he was scared that, things were going to be forced on him. Right. And when he realized, hey, you know what, this actually is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what about interacting with the other classmates in his cohort? Does he like that? Is he a social person or more of an introvert? Or
I would definitely say an introvert. And that was one of the issues when he first started was, Mum, I don't want to be on a Zoom call. I don't want the camera on. I'll be on it, but I'm not turning the camera on. And that just dissolved really quickly when he saw that he was in a safe place. So yeah, for that as well, I'm really thankful that he did this, because he's developing these skills, which, I mean, Zoom as an example is such an important part of, even business these days. In my job, I'm using it all the time. And so they're skills that will go on to help him in years to come.
Right, exactly. Public speaking skills, because the kids make a presentation every
Yeah.
few weeks. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how about Sienna? How is she adjusting?
Oh, she loves it. She'd been begging to go to school. She kept saying, I want a normal life. I just want to be a school kid.
Oh.
And Brody would say, no, you don't. You don't know what school's like. You never went. You don't know. And he would tell her all the stories, all the horror stories. So this for us, I mean, I would have given her a go if she really wanted to, but I think it was just that kind of ideal of, she watches shows where they're all having fun
Sure.
and stuff. So for her, it's just been brilliant. She loves getting on a call every day with her classmates, and I think she loves being accountable for the stuff that she has committed to doing. And she's excited. Oh, she woke up this morning and she said, oh my goodness, I missed my math class yesterday. And there's no pressure on her to have been there, but she wants to be there. So she clearly loves it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, like it really has been an ideal, I wouldn't even say solution, because I didn't really feel like I had a problem. It's just been this incredible tool that we've incorporated into our lifestyles, and it's filled a gap that we, as I said, didn't really know we had.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. This is why I put my kids in Galileo and join the company, because it's been such a huge just resource for us. It's our lifestyle is so much easier because I don't have to juggle too many things, and I feel like I'm still involved with my kids' education, but the teachers are there as partners. So I wanted to ask, are your kids participating in many of the clubs?
Yes, so they've just not long started. So Brody has started Spanish. Sienna is she's doing maths and book nook. What else is she doing? I can't remember. But yeah, and they're also starting the nano degree for entrepreneurship this month, which they're both thrilled to be doing. And of course, the first day of class, we were out. We didn't have internet; it was down for the day, so they were a little devastated. But
okay, we might have a recording for them to watch later. Yeah, my kids. I mean, of course, I would love them to be entrepreneurs, and they kind of said, "Okay, fine, Mom, we'll check it out." And at the end of the class, they were like, "This is the best thing ever. We love Stacy. We're excited. We're going to start a cookie business." So,
that's awesome.
It's awesome.
Sienna's been saying for 2 years, I want to start my own business. And, even to the point where maybe 12, 18 months ago, she sat me down and said, okay, I need to teach you what a business plan is, Mum, because I need to write one for my business. And I was like, man, I didn't learn about business plans till I was 30. And at this stage, she was 7. So this is going to be, I think the compilation of everything she's already been doing and wanting to do with actual instructions from somebody who's experienced at teaching kids to do it.
Yes, exactly. It's amazing. Okay, so what do you think? You've mentioned a few benefits of Galileo. Are there, if people had any hesitations, what would you say? I mean, maybe people think it's too much of like a school, or they don't understand the value of it. They think it's the same as other online programs. What would you say to people who are hesitant?
First of all, just do it. That's the short answer. Secondly, in comparison to other schools, there's nothing out there that I've discovered that is like this in any way, shape, or form. It's everything good about education that that you would want for your children. Support from incredible teachers, the ability to let them follow their passions. Nothing's forced. It's just so much support. It's really it's supporting children to learn in a way that makes sense for them, and that's when children learn the very best. That's when they're truly engaged and when they remember things. And every part of Galileo does that for their students. So I have absolutely no complaints. I've loved every part of it, and I'm shouting it from the rooftops to all of our Worldschooling community, because it's been nothing but an awesome experience. So yeah, I certainly wouldn't hesitate to get started.
Well, thank you, Karen. We really appreciate it, because I mean, is families like you who are kind of, I want to say that you're the innovators. I mean, we're a new school. And so you joined us as a new school. We're still kind of an experiment. So I appreciate you helping us get the word out to like-minded families, families who appreciate self-directed learning. Because yeah, I mean, there are self-directed brick and mortar communities where people get together, but nowadays it just makes sense to be online for multiple reasons. And so, yeah, we've been able to figure it out. Yeah, so I hope that people who watch this will kind of have a better understanding of what we're like, and they can either, next step for them is either to schedule a one-on-one Q&A with me, or they can just apply. Go to our website and apply. There's a form you can fill out, and we can go from there. So I really appreciate your help, Karen. You have been a super wonderful family. I'm really glad that you joined us, and thanks. It's fantastic. And again, as a fellow world schooling mom, everything that you were saying, I totally agree with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been wonderful. So thank you for recommending it in the first place.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of time to do marketing, so it's good to have families that join to, spread the word. So that's awesome. Thank you, Karen.
No worries.